And I was like, I know what Brian and them do would like totally drop
Dude,
weight.
it's group fitness. It's just something totally different. I don't even feel like they had that shit when I was a kid.
I
Like we had
agree.
the Capri Sun commercial,
Yeah,
but
but that was it.
we did have great commercials.
We
though.
did. The tank
Right.
commercial, like a orangutan come out and just like knock the shit
Dude,
out of everybody.
the Eggo commercials.
Yes, Eggos were great.
The crisscross crash and shit like that.
I don't know
You
if I
remember
remember that.
crisscross crash? Dude, it was like the cars are all going around the track at the same
yes.
time.
And they hit each other
Yeah,
like explode.
dude.
Yes.
Oh man, like the 90s were a great time,
The 90s
man.
were. It was good times. Music was
Nostalgic
good.
as fuck. Yeah, okay, so we were chatting about the Tool album. What have you
Yes.
been thinking about that?
I love it because it's great, but I feel like I don't know, it's so much.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
It's a work.
It is. I told my friends at work, it is not a rock and roll album. That is a classical piece of music, just in rock and roll style.
Did you see like there was some meme going on? You might have been the one that shared it because like I'm like trolling your stuff all the time, and then like I'll have to sometimes I'm like, oh man, he made this where I can't share it. I gotta fucking steal this. I gotta screenshot it. But there was like a meme. It was like first time through. Oh, second time, third time. Numa is the best song on that. It was like the process of like each time you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, have you guys heard the title track?
Yes. It was so good. My friend Ryan, he's huge into Tool, and he's seen him like 3 or 4 times. And like he went all the way to Arizona to see him once. Like he's
My
huge.
friend Colby did too, man.
Really?
Yeah,
In
you know
Tempe
Colby
when they were there?
Yeah. Colby and Chris Marcoletti, they both that word is for you, by the way.
Thank you.
They both went to that show on the Halloween, right? They dressed
Yes.
up as Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian went to that. And so Ryan, he's messaging me. He's like, have you heard the new Tool album yet? And I was like, my friend Brian just sent it to me, and I haven't listened to it. And,
Yeah.
so I'm listening. I was like, I'll check it out. And he was like, you got to check out the last song, which is Tempest, right?
Yes.
But I didn't know that because the order they were in, Numa was the last one I got.
Oh yeah. I didn't share them. Yeah,
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're fine.
yeah.
And I went and I listened to Numa first, and I sent it.
That's my favorite one so
I know.
far, dude.
I told him, I was like, dude, that song floored me. The moment the guitar kicks in, it's like, dun, dun, dun. And I was just like, oh, like I got goosebumps. That tone was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Okay, so like we were driving back. So it was actually, I'll just tell you right now. So like I was like totally no worries on scheduling because like I was in Nashville weekend before last and I was driving overnight back listening to the Tool album, right? So like we saw Widespread Panic. So like I get off work, leave, go straight to Nashville, watch them play an acoustic set at the Ryman. And Todd Snyder sat in with them, and this guy named Billy Strings. You ever heard of him? He's like the bluegrass player. He's like 24 years old, but damn, he was jamming with these guys.
That's awesome.
And like Panic's guitar player, if you never heard of Jimmy Harry, and he's insane. Like he filled in for the Allman Brothers for a tour, so he had to know like all of their stuff.
Yeah, he has incredible skill already. Then.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of Colonel Bruce Hampton or the Aquarium Rescue Unit, but he was a guitar player for that band, and they had this huge catalog. Then Panic's guitar player dies. He takes over their catalog, and he toured with Bob Weir, so he could do the Grateful Dead catalog.
Holy crap. That's an insane guitar player just off of that.
Yeah, and like now he's just with Panic, and he does side stuff, but I don't know. Okay, so yeah, we got off on that because I was driving back from Nashville seeing that dude, and I was like, okay, the other band I care that much about, let's listen to this on the way back.
Absolutely.
So that's what Colby and I did, and we were just losing our minds, man.
I bet.
It was everything that you hope for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I was kind of skeptical.
Yeah, definitely. 13 years is a long time. I believe even Maynard has said in interviews, like...
It was ready 8 years ago. Did you see that?
I did see that. That pissed me off so bad. I was like, where were you then?
Okay, so maybe that wasn't Maynard. Did you watch him like come on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I did not.
So he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast like 4 times, so it's worth watching all of them. But recently, and he was like, well, there was a committee meeting and about this, and every time we were going to do that, we had to have a vote, and like kind of like talking about it like the business side of the band was maybe the biggest delay on like lining out because Man, Tool is like top 10 on all digital streaming right now. Are they still?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like every one of their albums is in the top 10.
And they're acting like they did it on accident.
I know. Yeah.
We just.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just all of a
it's
sudden.
like that's the most like monetized move in all of music history, right?
Yes, definitely. Well, we're about to put out a new record. Let's release all of these and just make $1 trillion real fast.
And it's like right after. So I wonder too if they had any stake in like there was recently some sort of and I could be I don't know any facts on this, but there's some sort of court ruling, Supreme Court ruling perhaps, about digital music and bands getting paid. I don't know the particulars, but there's some sort of change in like Spotify and other platforms have to pay more now.
Well, that's good.
Right?
So like they were robbing them.
Oh yeah, you get like some guy named Rob McCormick. He was on the podcast, and we talked about this a little bit because he only plays music for a living.
Yeah,
and you get paid like 0.000096729 cents per listen.
Good grief!
But I mean, even if it was that, Tool's still raking it in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I shared something today and was joking about it. Somebody was like, who is this band, Tool, that nobody's ever heard of that knocked T-Swift off the top 10?
That fucking pisses me off.
I mean, it was one of the funniest things I'd heard all day, man.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, man.
Tool. Yeah. I mean, I love it. But I was telling a friend the other day, though, I don't know, like, unless I was going on a long car ride, if I would ever put it on in the car. Because it's...
Dude, I want to listen to it on the vinyl.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Do you have a record player?
We do.
Do you collect in vinyl?
Yes. I bought my wife for her birthday. I got her a live album of Janis Joplin.
Oh, sick.
It was it's cool.
I only have a couple Floyd albums.
Yeah, we have a couple.
Let's see. I've got the Animals album, and
Gotta have Animals. That's my fave.
I think Dark Side of the Moon. I got my first two goals are to collect all the Floyd and all the Panic albums. And I'm gonna do all the Zeppelin albums on vinyl. Just because it's like if I want to listen, that's what I mean. If I'm in the living room and I'm like jamming YouTube on the TV, dude, it's that.
Yeah.
Or maybe some Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
You know, which probably be that next.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever get any Grateful Dead? I only have like as like an adult.
Yeah, I've listened to it a couple of times. I'm definitely more into more aggressive style of music.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
The Grateful Dead is not really my I can appreciate it. Like they're incredible.
Yeah,
it's just not something I
kind of I'm not even like would say I'm like super into them. I couldn't tell you a dozen songs. I could like one time name like 79 Widespread Panic songs off the top of my head. Damn, that's my favorite band, but but not so much with anybody else that I can think of. Tool's up there.
Yeah,
you know, like I have a Tool only playlist on my Spotify. It's huge.
I get into Mastodon a lot.
You know, I saw them. I see your shirt.
Yeah.
I saw. Did you see him? Yeah. We established that maybe on the Digital World in the comment section or something. I went to that Les Claypool and was it Les Claypool and Mastodon?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were at that.
Yes, and then I saw Mastodon before that with A Perfect Circle.
Oh, dude, when did you see A Perfect Circle?
They were at there was last year or the year before. There was a music festival called Carolina Rebellion in North Carolina.
Wow.
It had A Perfect Circle, Mastodon, Gojira, Amon Amarth, which is like a Viking metal band, and basically every great metal band that's touring right now was on that, and it was unbelievable. And Maynard stood in the back the entire time in the dark. You couldn't even see the man. And anytime the camera panned across the band, it would pan until it got to Maynard, and then it would cut, and then it would go to the other side of him and pan. Never showed Maynard a single time.
On purpose,
I was
man.
like, "You motherfucker!"
Dude, he said he talked to the crowd a couple of times. I saw him last year in Texas, and he started off the show. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, oh my god." You know, just like waiting, and like you could see him at the beginning, and that was the only time. And he goes, "Hey, Texas." and then it just then what you're talking about began.
Yes.
But he did talk to the crowd a couple of times. They opened with Marching Like Sheep. It was sick.
That's awesome. I forget the name of the song, but he's like, we're going to do a song that we wrote. It's about something we're very passionate about. It's about butt sex. And then he performed the entire song singing with a fucking shake weight in his hand, and he's making the most phallic things towards his face the entire time with this shake
People
weight.
just you know what's funny is anybody that which I don't even really get what he's doing. So let me not like come
yeah.
across that way. But I kind of get what he's doing because I've like got into some Carl Jung and stuff over the years, and
Carl's
I've made
great.
some connections. Actually, dude, I remember like when I lived in Spring Lake with Nick Lyons, which would have been like 2008 or 9. I remember you posting like some super deep Tool lyrics on like Facebook or something, and I was like taking like tons of philosophy at the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know,
That
just
stuff
like
messed with you.
overwhelming. I want to say I maybe even messaged you about it. It
think
was
you
like,
did.
I'm taking Charlie Bush right now. You just blew my mind.
Yes.
Did that happen?
That did
Yeah,
happen.
dude. Because at that time I was getting into so much more music than any time. I mean, I've gotten, every year I've get into doing different. So I didn't listen to Widespread Panic until 2015.
Really? And now they're like your favorite band.
Dude,
That's impressive.
that, and I've been telling this story a couple of times to people. Like, I saw him in D.C., right, and they were playing just a Neil Young song. They're the Neil Young cover band. They play a lot of Neil Young songs. Like they played "Heart of Gold" the other night.
That's
at the
awesome.
Ryman. Yeah,
I love Neil Young.
me too, man. But
great.
they were playing "Walk On."
Yeah.
They also cover Cortez the Killer by Neil Young. If you've never heard that,
I don't think
there's
so.
a live version of him playing in the 80s, and like, it's just wow. But dude, they were playing "Walk On," and it just like made me cry, dude. I never cried like wept is a like openly.
Yeah.
At any memorable time in my life due to music, you know.
Yeah.
Or really many other things other than like, sad stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it was like just overwhelming feeling of like almost like when you get goosebumps. But I was just like, dude, I've been listening to music and playing music like my whole more than half my life at this point. Listening to music all this time. I've always had an interest in music. And I don't even know how you're doing what you're doing, dude. Like how all of them were, because there's 6 guys in the band, but they've been doing it since 80. There's a band since 87, so like my entire life.
Yeah.
But they were just killing it, and I was like, dude, the way you guys are making me feel, and I just lost it, man.
That's awesome.
It was wild.
You gotta love those moments where it's like almost an existential thing where you just
It
kind of like
was.
you like step out of yourself and just realize that these dudes are like they're locked in, like they're like one thing right now, and they're just killing it. Like Mastodon does that. They do it like, I don't know if it's scripted or not, but they do like a 13-minute breakdown occasionally. They just all of a sudden one of them will start jamming it, and then every one of them just picks up, and they lock in for like 13 minutes. They're just making this shit up.
That's why I kind of started liking jam bands over the last. And I don't like listen to a ton of jam bands.
Yeah.
But you could say Panic was a jam band. I don't listen to Fish or anything. But Panic does this thing called sandwiches.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an official term, but I think it is. All right, so they'll be like, they got this one song called Surprise Valley. It's got this like, it's kind of hard little drop to it. Where they start off, and then they'll meander off, and they'll jam for like 14 minutes, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then they're like, they might even play 5 songs, and then they're like, oh, we're right back here with Surprise Valley right now. Boom, boom, boom. Just like drop right back into the end of the song.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, hey, we're gonna do this. And they do that with dozens of their songs. They sandwich them. So, like, the Panic fans are like, did you get that fishwater sandwich in Memphis? Like that Surprise Valley sandwich. But when we saw them play they did a Surprise Valley sandwich at the Ryman. And I saw them play for my birthday. They did Surprise Valley, then they did like 5 songs, and then they finished Surprise Valley. So sometimes they do stuff like that where it's like, what are you
fuck with your
doing?
head so bad.
Yeah, they'll do like Surprise Valley, one song, Surprise Valley, another song. That's what they did at Red Rocks the other month. And I've never seen bands do anything. Like, I'm just like noting on musical creativity, like what you're saying, like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah. It's like, are you freestyling this, or have you spent 6 months locked in a room together practicing this one thing, and now you've got like 8 of these because you've been together for your entire life? It's crazy. Like we saw, I think he's from the Allman Brothers, actually. The guy that's in Government
Derek
Mule.
Trucks?
Have you seen Government Mule?
Yeah. I haven't got to see him live, but Warren Haynes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He plays with the Panic all the time.
We saw them. We were going to watch. I think it was ZZ Top at Memphis in May, and they
Yeah.
were the band before them. And the wife and I are very adamant about you go see the band before the one you want to see. So when everybody leaves that band, you can get up front and see the one you want to see, right? So we slowly working our way towards the front, and then as we're doing, Government Mule is just freaking blowing my socks off, man. It's
Dude,
like
Warren Haynes
that
shreds.
motherfucker can play, and like that band, they all like back that dude up so well. It's like I don't even understand how people fit together that well.
Yeah, it is. That's what is so fascinating about Panic or Tool too. 4 guys getting along that long, 6 guys getting along that long, and like one of Panic's. I think a reason that a lot of people like our age haven't heard it because I didn't even hear about them. I didn't know anything about them. And their guitar player died in '99, or I'm sorry, '02.
Yeah,
And that was at their like pinnacle. And they had a concert one time in the Athens, Georgia, where it closed off the streets and stuff. It's called Panic in the Streets. And it's like 80,000 people or something. I may probably get the stat wrong, and like people will roast me. But they're like crazy numbers. Like that many people went to a Panic show.
yeah.
You know, and but their guitar player died, and that is like talking to fans that have like been listening to them since the '90s at like the shows. I'm like, why do you think I hadn't heard of them? Like I've asked like 3 people that I'm like, what sense does it make I didn't hear of this band? And like too, like I'm like, yo, Jeremy, you ever heard of Widespread Panic? You're like, you might have heard of them because you like listen to music and stuff, but like 97% are like,
Yeah, I had heard the name. I do not think I've heard a single Widespread Panic song.
dude, yeah. Well, you know, if you ever need any recommendations, let me know.
Absolutely, send me some.
I definitely turn people onto him like I'm witnessing
Yeah,
or
it's like-
something.
you
I'm like,
should.
allow me to
Yeah.
turn to the Book of Panic.
I'm
But-
always up for that kind of witnessing.
Yeah, me
Knock
too,
on my
dude.
door anytime.
Me too. But they're truly unique. I would put them in the same sort of category as like Allman Brothers or Tedeschi Trucks or it's hard to categorize them though.
Yeah.
They're southern. They got a lot of southern twang to them, but it's hard to say southern rock. But it's hard to call them a southern band because they're non-stereotypical as a southern band, you know.
Yeah.
So they're an anomaly. I've never seen it or got it. But it, just like other things, like what we're talking about, Tool, or like what you're saying with Mastodon. I see Les Claypool a while back too. He
Yeah.
played like two people before Panic with one of the Lennon brothers, John Lennon's son.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Julian or which one it was. I can't remember. But Lennon Claypool Delirium.
Yeah. Okay.
It was pretty good, dude. They played some Floyd. Like, dude, Les
Really?
Claypool covers tons of Floyd. You ever see him cover any Floyd? Oh, dude, that's where I went down a rabbit hole with that on.
I can't imagine what that would sound like.
Dude,
'cause
he
Roger
covers.
Waters is
Sometimes
like-
he covers whole Tool albums at shows, dude, or a whole Floyd albums at shows.
I have to look at this.
Yeah, dude. Hold on. Where's my phone? I'll just throw it up on the TV and we'll hear it in the headphones. But the audience will not hear it. But I'll tell them what the video is. Yeah, Les Claypool, Pink Floyd. My friend Michael Booty, he's a guy I work with. He's an English professor. He went and saw Nick Mason in Dallas, the drummer for
Okay.
Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
play, and they put together this like Sid Barrett tribute.
Really?
Yeah, and they're doing like the whole Saucer Full of Secrets album, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Les Claypool covers Pink Floyd. This one is an hour and 11 minutes. I'm
Jesus.
just I just want to find a good video. This has 116,000 views. Here we got Les Claypool's Frog Brigade. Like, he's had so many side cover bands and different things.
Yeah, they did
And
a
I
freaking
think-
Willy Wonka thing for an entire tour.
Yeah. What do you remember what it was in? What was when he did with Buckethead? I saw Buckethead a while back, and that blew my mind.
I
dude.
bet it was. Buckethead's crazy.
Yeah, it was. He gave away Christmas presents during the show.
Did
It
he
wasn't
really?
even Christmas.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
He's a weird
like that
dude.
was the intermission. He just handed out like the bag full of like little toys and stuff.
That's awesome.
It was. I got a video of it on my phone. It was weird.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I have that unplugged from the back of the TV, so we won't hear it. I'm just gonna plug it in. Hold on a second.
All right. So is this like a?
I mean, I don't think that's him playing the acoustic.
Yeah.
I don't know who he's got. This, let's see if this just says Les Claypool covers Pink Floyd. I bet he does it for the whole set.
Probably.
Because it's that long. But okay, yeah, it's the Frog Brigade.
Okay.
Let me. I'll Google real quick. Les Claypool's Frog Brigade. We'll see who all's in the band. Oh, dude, I got tickets to go see Tool today.
Really?
Yeah,
Where
in
at?
Tulsa, at the BOK Center.
See, we're going to be doing like 7 days a week, 12-hour days, starting at the beginning of October all the way through Thanksgiving. Otherwise, I would be seeing Tool. And it's like, of course, the only time they're anywhere near here is when I will not be able to go see them.
I've been traveling so much. I just can't pass. I couldn't pass it up, but I'm just going to take off that night at the gym. But working at the university, I'm only teaching 5 classes this semester. I was teaching 6 classes, both my first 2 semesters on the job.
Damn.
Yeah, I was. It was. They cut. I don't know what happened. It cut off. But yeah. Here, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. That way we can just have it. We'll just play it in the background.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, so I got to see Roger Waters a couple times.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It was. I mean, obviously, I want to see David Gilmour, but
Yeah.
it wasn't an option.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but dude, people ask me, they're like, "What's the best concert you've ever been to in your whole life?" I'm like, "Roger Waters, hands down, no questions." And then I talk shit about the guy all the time.
He's easy to talk shit about, man. The
I know, dude.
He's a douche.
Oh man,
But he's fucking incredible at the same time. Like
he is
maybe the greatest lyricist on planet
creative
Earth.
genius, man.
Yes.
You ever get into any David Gilmour solo stuff?
I have not listened to any of it.
I mean, I haven't listened to a ton. I've really only listened to his first album solo. It's called, oh man, no, it's not called "Raise My Rent." That's one of the songs on the album, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Post Waters Pink Floyd really pissed me off to the point that I just kind of gave up on David Gilmour.
Yeah, I could see that. Have you, there's a documentary of him on YouTube, like, kind of goes into his process. And dude, when you look at all the people he's produced over the years, like, and backed and paid for and recorded, it's an amazing story. But like all of the people that he has backed that have become something, and then too, all of the other songs that he was involved in or passed on that became a famous song somebody else.
Really?
Yes. Because David Gilmour, he's like, oh, I couldn't write any lyrics, so I was always like open to people's lyrics. Just like, you're like George Strait. I think he does that same thing. I hate to compare David Gilmour to George Strait.
Yeah.
But like he was just like basically like a few of the songs that he had bought over the years, lyrics for, he ended up passing on, and then somebody else ended up making a famous song out of it, like a hit single or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know who writes lyrics to stuff these days. Like, there's a TV show I saw when I was at the gym the other day. The sole goal of it is they put 3 people on a panel, and the guests, one of them was like Weird Al Yankovic, who I've seen
He was
live.
just in Arkansas, dude.
I didn't see him this time, but I saw him at Bonnaroo, dude, and Weird Al's like one of the coolest concerts you'll ever go to.
Dude, that's what I've heard, man. Like, I was seeing Panic when I think I was in Pensacola when he was here the other night, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. You should have felt like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Panic's great.
Yeah.
But weird, like, he wears all the costumes. He did White Nerdy on stage wearing that ridiculous outfit, riding around on a Segway the entire time.
That dude is super creative.
He is.
Man.
He had, like, whenever he goes to change costumes, he's got, like, skits that he puts up on the screen of, like, him interviewing Eminem and it's just like Eminem continuously getting more and more mad because Weird Al is weird, and he's just like asking him the dumbest shit you can think of, and Eminem's just like, I don't even want to fucking be here anymore. Like, why don't I even talk to you? It's great. Like, they're pointless other than they're killing time for him to come out in a fat suit or come out dressed like a peacock.
Yes.
Or
This
something.
dude, once you get a history like that, that's why like I'm thinking about that all the time, just like documenting things. That's why like, man, we're in the process of moving to a way bigger spot.
Really?
Before the end of the year, yes. Do you know where the Back to Basics location is? Like, we're purchasing that.
Really?
Yes.
That's
Unless
awesome.
something horribly goes wrong with the whole deal we've been putting together over the last several months. So but one thing I'm going to put in there is like I'm probably going to move. I don't know if I'm probably going to keep this studio together, but I'm going to set up and I record for the gym. Like I have a YouTube at the gym, but I'm just setting up to like document everything all the time. I'd like to be able to do that here, the gym. I got my office set up like that on campus. I can podcast there. I got a couple of chairs. I got like 2 chairs set up in there. But just like always be capturing stuff, man, because on down the road you can repurpose it, re-put it back together, reshare it, edit it, whatever. It's always there.
It's good to have a reference too of how things were at that time. Like maybe you're super mad about Donald Trump now, and then 20 years from now, it's like, okay, maybe we got a couple of dickheads from him that were worse than him later on. It's like maybe it doesn't piss me off as much anymore.
Oh, wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be.
3 things you don't like about Donald Trump. Or 3 things you do. I can't come up with 3 things.
3 things. One thing I do like about him: the forgiving student loan debt for disabled veterans.
Yeah, I saw you, dude. I did see you share that, and I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
Nobody would disagree with that.
Yeah, I hate these full of shit, and people just let him get away with
Reading his speeches is the funniest shit ever, man.
Oh
Is it not?
Yes. It's like the man uses the word bigly. Like, why?
I almost said bigly today just because I wanted to poke fun, but I was like, man, my friend Mike just got Tool tickets. Mike Page, he's
Nice.
one of the black belts from Northwest Arkansas.
Hell yeah.
That's good, man.
That is good. It's
Yeah.
got to be good to go to a concert with a bunch of guys that know jujitsu, too. That way, if you're having a good time and somebody just wants to be an asshole, you're not worried that they're going to be an asshole
It is,
and ruin things for you.
well, you said you went to Bonnaroo, particularly. Like, I haven't been to a ton of festivals, but like I am always because we've only had like one minor incident in Nashville last year where somebody like stepped on Cora and then fell on Colby, and I was and it's like a super fucked up person, and I was just like, oh my god. But I immediately handled the situation as the best I could.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things. It's like it's immediately hones you into what's going on. I really did not enjoy the rest of the show or anything because I was just like my adrenaline was jacked.
Yeah.
After that, but there's always like so many fucked up people around at any concert, whether they're drinking or doing whatever.
Yeah. We were at the first time we went to Bonnaroo, we were seeing Paul McCartney, which was awesome, by the way. And I'm not even a Paul McCartney fan, but like that guy was in the Beatles.
Yes. Yes.
He's like playing the guitar he wrote freaking Blackbird on and like making jokes about like him and the Beatles went to see Jimi Hendrix the week after they released Sgt. Pepper. And Jimmy played the entire album of Sgt. Pepper live right then. It had been out for a week, and he played the whole thing start to finish. And like he's out there, and he gets the whammy bar going, and this is the 60s where the whammy bar doesn't completely lock, so it detunes the guitar, right? And he said, Jimmy's so fucked up, he goes, I can't tune this guitar. Is Eric out there? And he was talking about Eric Clapton. And Eric Clapton was out there. And he was like, Eric, will you tune my guitar? And Eric just went, fuck you. And so Jimmy was like, fine. And he just got another guitar and finished the concert or whatever. But like telling stories like that, it's like, that's
Is that on video or is that just like a circulated story? I would love to see that.
It may be on video. I'll have to look it up. I'll see if it's on YouTube. I mean,
that's an awesome story.
It's great. But so we're there and we're watching this. And Bonnaroo, it's a 3-day festival or 4 days. And it's in Tennessee and it's in the summer. So it's fucking June. It's 900 degrees outside. Everybody's drinking booze all day long. My wife and I, responsible adults, Camelbacks full of water, right? So we're at this concert.
It is so easy to get dehydrated
It
at a
is.
show, at a festival,
So
particularly.
we're sitting there and we're drinking this water, right? And these dudes next to us are like, "Hey, man, what you got in that Camelback?" I was like, "Water." And he goes, "Like fucking for real, man? You got water?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Dude, we will smoke you guys out to the point of being retarded if you'll give us some of that water." And I was like, "You know what? How about you just have some water?" It's like, it's
Dude,
okay.
I was at a show. Okay, the paint show the other day, they wouldn't give you bottles of water for whatever reason. I don't know. We're going to use them as a weapon. I don't know why. No bottles. They poured it in the cup. And then, like, with this guy that we know just from following Panic, and he follows Panic, he was just like, "You guys want to see what I snuck in?" Bottle of water. And everybody was like, "Oh, this dude's got a bottle." It was like currency, man. Down in the pit. Like,
have you seen Water Guy?
Yeah, it was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, well, dude, so like, what have you been up to these days? Just working? You still jamming?
Not really. I'm getting back into it though. I'm gonna start playing a lot more. Gonna get some better equipment pretty soon.
Dude, I've been going through that. I had to show you my music set up across the way
Yeah.
when we get done. But that's I've just been getting all the shit I always wanted, man.
Yeah.
Honestly. So
Yeah, it's more fun to play when you have a guitar that you feel fits you and feels like it's the thing you should be playing, and you get a pedal that'll give you the multiple sound effects you want.
dude,
Like, you want to sit down?
I just bought all the pedals
Did you?
that I wanted, yeah.
You just turn on a flanger and just sit there and make weird noises.
I
for an
know,
hour for
dude.
no
And
reason.
then, hey, I heard a bunch of guitar players talking about doing that same thing, and that's how they like figured it out. Like Tom Morello, every guitar player I've studied that has effects in their game is like, yeah, I should spend an hour a day playing with this pedal, and then tomorrow we play with the other pedal. And
Yeah. Then maybe I'll put them in sequence this way today and see if they do weird shit. And then if not, I'll swap them tomorrow.
Well, and the way they're talking, it's like in the pedal exploration, that's where they write riffs. That's where all the creative stuff. Like I just got a Digitech whammy, and like I don't even know how to use it, dude.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But
though?
it is,
that
man.
big red
I'm like,
bastard?
oh, I sound like shit, but I sound like the sound of Tom Morello, dude. I'm just like, oh, it like the octaver and stuff.
Yes.
It's wild, man.
Yes, my buddy Josh. We used to just mess around. It was just me and him, and we would play "Becoming" from Pantera, and that was like the only time we would ever play that song. It was when we were just messing around because he'd pull out that whammy pedal, and it's like bum bum wow bum bum bada bum bum wow bum bum wow. Like he just pulls that pedal out, and we just sit around for like an hour just playing that one riff, just because the whammy pedal is crazy.
Yeah. It is. I got a whammy. I got just original Crybaby wah.
Well, of course, you got to.
Then I got just like a whole setup. Like I got a Boss pedal board set up, which is kind of like I got a DD2 delay, just a classic DS1.
Heck yeah.
A chorus, a flange. It's like the pedal board has all the power strip and everything on it. So, and then I'm running like I just did too. I just actually bought a PA. Don't tell Cora; she doesn't know about it.
All
It's
right.
in the back of my car.
Does she listen to this?
I don't know. Sometimes.
If so, Cora, I will tell you about it. Don't hurt me.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Sorry to put you on the spot. But anyway, but so like previously for vocals in the room, I had this a powered speaker, and I'm gonna run that as like my clean. Like I'm gonna do a clean speaker, a speaker for clean. I'm gonna use my orange for effects,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
But on my clean speaker, I'm running a loop of effects, and I'm putting some of my pedals on my acoustic amp, like a couple of them.
Yeah,
So I'm running a couple of different loops.
that's awesome.
So
That's what I did when I was in the band before we got a fourth person. We had three. I took my my bass and I split the signal, and I ran one set of signal just clean into our PA, and maybe put a whammy or a wah pedal on it or something, just to make some weird noises sometimes. And then the other one, I would run it through an octaver to drop it down and then distort it. So I was like the bass and the rhythm guitar section at the same time. Like just split the signal, make two different sounds, and carry it. So Josh could just shred the fuck out of a guitar, which is what Josh Bean does. But just crazy shit you can do with music is just so fun.
yeah. Yeah, dude, I got this is I have a like the possibilities of what I could do with it. I don't even know. I'm just doing the most basic shit ever, but a looper.
Oh, loopers are
I got
great.
a decent Boss looper. It's like the mid grade one. It's not like it doesn't have all of the programmed drum beats. It's got some. And it's got like a metronome, and I can do multiple tracks. But like I have like I'll do like I'll like record something, and then I'll like play a lead over it, or I'll record the lead over it, and then I'm like I'm gonna play my bass.
Yeah.
But it's like the stuff that I could be doing is way cooler than that. I haven't figured out the potential yet.
I spent like 3 hours in my living room with a looper pedal on my stuff, playing the entirety of "Sail" from AWOL Nation.
Oh, yeah,
on my
nice.
bass when that song first came out. I loved it when first. It's kind of burnt out now. But
I liked it too, man. We still have it on some of the gym playlists and stuff. It comes
Yeah.
on periodically. It's
you hear the Devil Driver cover of it?
no.
Devil Driver is I don't know if you call them death metal or not, but like they're a metal band and they do it at like twice the speed, but it's actually pretty great.
Dude, we're listening to Les Claypool right now.
We are,
But-
and it does not. Sound
I know,
But you
dude.
hear that bass, like that's not Roger Waters, man. Roger Waters should be ashamed of himself after listening to this.
What you know what got the whole like me posting about David Gilmour on Facebook thing going? It's like we were on our way back. Actually, we were on our way to see A Perfect Circle, that show I mentioned a second ago, driving to Dallas down I-30. And Colby's like, dude, Roger Waters like one of the top 5 bassists of all time. And I was like,
Get the fuck out of my car.
challenge accepted.
Yes.
Dude, and on our way back from that Perfect Circle show, a couple of days later, we drove back. It was like the driving back from Nashville, like an overnight thing. And like for 5.5 hours, we just debated. And then like we get about Morrilton on our way back. Pink Floyd comes on. We're like listening to the radio. Pink Floyd comes on, and he just loses his mind. But yeah, that's exactly that was the origin story of like me always talking about how David Gilmour is better. That's like I always say. I'm like David Gilmour's the backbone of Pink Floyd. But there's this kid that comes in. He's like a teen. He comes into the gym, does like MMA class, and his mom trains. He's got brothers that train, and he's always wearing a different Pink Floyd shirt. And I was like, dude,
a good kid.
David Gilmour, Roger Waters. He's like, who's that? And I was like, so I've been educated, like super educated. I'm like, bro, you ever heard Dogs? And he's just like, no, man. I was like, bro, David's work on Dogs, okay? He
It's
did
fucking
the
unbelievable.
main riff on Dogs, okay?
Yes.
Which is what we're listening to right now, actually.
it is.
So I was just like, you got to look into it. And he like comes back and he's like, dude, that song was like 17 minutes. And I was like, I know, right, man? It's like a rock opera. And he's just like, no, it's too long.
It's too.
And I was just like, all right, so we're gonna move on to the next assignment. But it's funny. I'm always just ripping on him about Pink Floyd.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You ever see any like Pink Floyd cover bands that were any good or anything? We saw one at one of the music festivals up on the Mulberry a while back. It was just the Birds Fest.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe that was called Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay.
I can't remember what they were called, but they were okay. But I see them playing all over the place. I really didn't think they were the best. So
Yeah.
but man, there's so many Pink Floyd cover bands out there. I see different ones playing. There's a ton of Grateful Dead cover bands.
Yeah. Greta Van Fleet. It's a Led Zeppelin cover band.
Did I get that thing I shared on my podcast page from your page where it was like the 2 cats?
Yes, that was me.
Yeah. I posted that on the podcast page.
Did you?
Yeah, that's so
awesome.
funny. Yeah, people were loving that, dude.
That's fucking hilarious, man. Because it's so true. Like the first time I heard him, I was like, oh, this band's kind of cool. Then I was like, the next song I heard was like, okay, you're pissing me off.
See, that's what's so fascinating about like Pink Floyd. What inspired that sound? Other than like maybe the blues, and it being just like super vague. Like I can't think like when they really like started I don't know. What's that album with Echoes on it?
Metal.
Yeah, like dude, they're super put together by then.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You know, but like that being like a song where I'm like, whoa. You know, like it's like truly unique still to me.
Yeah, it's like how did you make that?
Yeah.
There's
And
nothing
it's like
else
what
that.
inspired that? You can't think of anything. Like with Tool, like what inspired that? You can't think of anything. I think Panic's the same way.
Yeah.
So it's just they are anomalies. Now Led Zeppelin plagiarized a bunch of shit, and I hated it when I found out about that because then I'm like, just like Panic has over 600 songs in their catalog, and they do so many covers. Dude, they did New Mother Nature and No Sugar Tonight the other night. Oh, it was so good. I've been chasing it.
Awesome.
And but they did Heart of Gold the other night. They just do tons of covers and just say it's a cover.
Yeah. That's all you got to do.
If you want to put it on an album, work it out.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to make more money off of it, just pay the royalties. So I never got why Led Zeppelin would do that.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Other than it's the 70s and YouTube doesn't exist and it's real easy. Like, whoever heard of, well, I don't remember the name, was it Rainbow or whatever they supposedly stole? No, Rainbow had Dio in it. I forget the name. The band they supposedly stole Stairway to Heaven
yeah.
Nobody ever heard of them. I still hadn't heard of them whenever they came out and said that they stole that song. I had to look it up, and it was like one hit on YouTube.
I had not any of the songs they're saying. Like I had like a couple of the bands I recognized. Maybe a Muddy Waters song or something like that, but I could be wrong. But like when I found that out, I just started researching. There's like this big long story and all these different songs and all these different artists and like the side by side comparison, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's like you broke my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I do love listening to some old school, like some '70s live Led Zeppelin.
Absolutely, it's good stuff. Jimmy Page was insane.
He is. And his obsession with Aleister Crowley. Let's talk about that. Kidding, what do you right? And Danny Carey too.
Yeah.
You seen the inside of that new Tool album?
I have not.
Scary, man.
Is it? There's some crazy shit in there.
There's like a video, and I think it's Maynard's kid doing it. But there's a video of like a little kid opening it up, just like, look. So I'm just like, oh, wow, what is that?
What's in it?
Just like crazy imagery, and then the band member with like an overlay with like a symbol on it, but you could see the band member through, but you turn the page and then it's just the band member.
Okay.
But just like cool imagery, and it's all layered. Like
that's their love for that. What is it? Sacred geometry and.
Cora has a Flower of Life tattooed on her
DMT
on her
and
shoulder.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I have a friend that got big into DMT for a while, and he was coming back from trips and like explaining some like unbelievable stuff. And I don't know to believe that or not. Like, do we live in the Matrix? I don't know.
What did he see?
Like he's telling me that he gets sucked out of his body and ends up like traveling through space, and then he ends up in this room that's like all these multiple colors that are pulsing, and there's these huge pillars everywhere and these giant doors, and they're like big golden doors, but they're like changing color. And there's this guy sitting on top, this little bitty guy that's just like staring at him, and they're not talking to each other, but they're staring at each other. And the dude on top of the door looks at him and just like telepathically makes my friend feel like he is unworthy because he hasn't let go enough, so he can't go through this door. And so he's just standing there at this door, and this dude stands up and like all of a sudden has this mallet in his hand and rings this giant gong next to him. And like Ryan, sorry, pardon his name, said that he felt his whole body like almost come apart and then go back together, and there was less of him. And then the guy like kind of like nodded at him and then rang the gong again and like took his body apart again and put him back together. And then like there was less of him. And then he was like, he could feel himself like hanging on to pieces of stuff in his life he didn't want to let go of. And that was what the thing was trying to get him to do, was let go of everything. And the moment he rang the gong the last time and Ryan disappeared, the doors opened. And then that was when he came back.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like,
that's a trip.
I wanted to try it. Still haven't, because the only guy I know that has it, or I don't know anybody that has it, but the only guy I know that has it is like, you have to do it at my house because it's sacred to me, and I don't want to. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to introduce greed to this process. This is like a spiritual thing. He goes, but I don't want to let it out into the world either. He's like, this needs to be a controlled environment.
Dude, apparently we're like 90-something% of the world's supply is getting burned up right now.
Yeah. Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
You know what really pisses me off? Motherfuckers that share posts that are like, well, the Amazon rainforest is only burning a little bit more than it usually does. Like, okay, so it's still fucking on fire. Like, people have been getting raped since the dawn of time. So let's just stop worrying about people getting raped. Like, no, it's still bad, you jackass.
I know, dude. I'm afraid that I think that we could be experiencing like a pole shift type event.
Yeah, it's possible.
But maybe accelerated by a ton of things, or maybe it's like we're observing the effects of the cycle. But what if at one point in time, this is what I think. I think at one point in time, the Nile River Valley was like the Amazon is now.
I would believe that.
And I think that what if we're seeing that transition?
So the Amazon goes to being a desert, and the Nile becomes the...
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, ice caps are melting.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what else is going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I'm just observing it, trying to... into observing, like, I was just showing something today in my Arkansas history class on the New Madrid earthquake. Crazy, dude. The stuff they were talking about, crazy.
Yeah.
Just like how what it did to the boats. And then, also, you ever heard of the Santorini eruption?
I've heard the name. I don't
Okay,
know
so
what
Crete in the Mediterranean,
Yeah.
the island of Crete. Santorini is this Greek island where this volcanic eruption happened, and I've heard a lot of scholars say this. They think that could be what caused what is reported as the 10 plagues and the parting of the sea, so to speak. You ever seen rivers flow backwards?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so just like recently when the Arkansas River flooded, like the creeks and stuff up on the Mulberry were flowing backwards.
Really?
Yeah, right? Tsunamis. Volcanic eruptions in bodies of water cause tsunamis.
Absolutely.
That could drain a reed bed. And that's the thing, too, is like how some of that's reported on around the Red Sea. There's all these canals and there are all these lakes and reed beds that are not even filled up year round, right? So like I was just like going over all this evidence 'cause like I'm like going over the Hebrews and Civ 1 right now. So like I'm just like refreshing up on all the stuff. And I was just like watching this documentary about archaeological evidence of like where if they were enslaved in Egypt, where they might have been and stuff like that. Because it is fascinating that we have such an Egyptological record. And then if you just look at we didn't think the Assyrians existed until we found excavated the site of Nineveh.
Okay.
And we found this Assyrian ruler named Ashurbanipal. This dude was a bad dude. This the place called Ashurbanipal's Library, dude. That's where the Epic of Gilgamesh was found.
Oh,
yes,
that's awesome.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. But the Assyrians are who like they captured Jerusalem, and they were just a crazy people. Actually, they did not capture Jerusalem. They captured the other 10 tribes.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. But they were a serious power in the region for a minute.
Sounds like it.
We didn't know anything about them until we found that library, though.
That's crazy.
Like, that's blown my mind repeatedly. Like, to know that, like we didn't know these people existed except for the biblical account of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So, like, that's like I was talking about this today, too, like, and it says this in my book. So it's like, the problem with like the Bible is a source of history, like or just the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, right? Is that it's their national history, and it's a sacred text that Like I was kind of not even like I don't want to say debating with somebody, but like lightly talking with them about it. That was super Christian. They're like, "Well, you just don't believe that this is, that God inspired this." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't."
Why wouldn't you?
Oh man, dude, that's so that thing that you shared is like, man, you ever follow any Sam Harris stuff? Like okay. So the guy behind the project of that thing you shared with the biblical contradictions is
Yes.
Sam Harris.
Okay.
Right? So he is to my knowledge, he's an atheist, right?
I think so.
So
Yeah, I did read that.
but I don't really. I'm more agnostic, honestly. Like I'm just like I don't know. It's finite, limited mind. Dr. Bush told me about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like I need it to all the way,
Yeah.
but I'm trying. But he and Jordan Peterson, you ever follow any Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
They have a series of debates, dude, about just about modern Christianity and all sorts of stuff, like moral relativism, man,
that's great. I love that kind of
relative
stuff.
truth. Oh yes, I love
that.
like when I go over Greek history, I like have this little philosophy sidetrack where I go through the big three and just talk about sophistry and rhetoric and relative truth and objective truth. It's a lot of fun, man.
It messed me up in college when I first learned, like, really contemplated relative truth. Like, I just completely changed my outlook on a lot of things.
Well, and like so these guys on one of their debates, they just get into relative truth, just like what's called moral relativism, just in relation to morals and ethics, not anything to do with politics or anything like that. Because that's like with the Athenian, like what I cover is like almost a political history. I talk about philosophy and sophistry and Plato and Aristotle's take on the Athenian process, and it's fascinating, man.
Yeah, I'm going to have to come sit in on a class. This sounds great.
Dude, and you kind of are, man. Look at you.
I'm enjoying it.
I do, man. I really love. So I hope. What's Thurman planning on doing, man? Any idea? I'm gonna turn this off.
He's finishing up his doctorate or master's thesis or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he's pretty much set to teach at Tech.
Really?
think so.
Is he just gonna adjunct or what?
I think he's adjuncting now, but I think once he's done, he's going to have a job.
Really? Yeah. Nice.
He came by work today, actually. He used to work at where I worked. We were Zero Mountain, and we got bought by Americold. And but he worked there until he got this job that he's doing now. And he came by to say hi today, and I was like, "You're looking sharp, Thurman." He's like, "Yeah, this isn't even my business attire. Like, this is just how I dress." I was like, "I know it is. You look great."
That's funny. That's funny. He does. He's always like the vest and everything, man.
He had the suit jacket on and the nice pants, and they were all like ironed and everything. I was like, "Thurman, I wish I was half as put together as you, man."
Yeah, man, teaching's rewarding. I enjoy doing it. It's interesting too. Like, man, there's just certain things like grading. That's no fun.
Yeah,
like dealing with people's excuses, also no fun. It's the people that do the less that complain the most, cause the most issues for you, and like will go out of their way to cause problems. And I'm just like, what is that about?
Yeah. It's like it's not even that hard if you'll just sit down and do it.
I know. I try and too. Like I lay. Did you ever take any college classes or anything?
Yeah, I graduated. From
Oh, duh. Yeah, duh. We talked about Charlie Bush. Right? Did they use whiteboard a lot when you were going?
Some.
So I was like, I put everything in there for him. A lot of the times, I don't always give him my lecture notes, but like if it's like a really good refined copy, or even like a really good older copy that's like mostly what I'm going to cover. Because that way, it's like if they miss, I make my notes like with headings and stuff, so they're accessible. You got to meet accessibility requirements.
Yeah.
And PowerPoints, reviews, study guide. I just dump tons of content in there for them, and I think it works out. If students miss, they can follow along. So, it's like not like I'm giving them everything, but some people abuse it and not come. It's just, but I will say I'm providing more resources this semester than ever, and I have better attendance than ever.
Really?
Which I did not think. So like for example, at Market's history class, like I had that class totally set up in Blackboard before the semester even started because I study with a guy that teaches at adjuncts at Tech, and he teaches, but also the guy that taught the Arkansas history class forever there, Dr. DeBlack. He's also wrote the book.
Nice.
I have a copy in my satchel here.
That's awesome that you have a satchel.
Thanks, man. I have a fanny pack too. I'm not
Fucking
gonna lie.
Indiana Jones.
But this Dr. Black, he I'm doing it essentially just like the way the book's laid out, but like the way he did his class. So like I had it all set up and everything with like all the due dates, assignments. Like I'm actually getting them to do like in this class we're doing more than any of my other classes, but like they're not like stressing, feeling overwhelmed or anything because like there's encyclopedia articles, short little documentaries, notes, PowerPoints. Like they go into a folder. They're like, oh, this is the chapter 2 folder. Like I don't want to read chapter 2. So they have if they don't want to read chapter 2, bam, everything is right there. Dude, you know what I'm pissed about is like no textbook people have audiobooks.
Yeah, that is stupid.
Dude, like you want to talk to me about accessibility? Like I need to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need that. And
Yeah.
I administer the stuff. You want me to administer the stuff better? So like me as an instructor, I'm like, yes, I need this in an audio version. And I can't get any of my textbooks in an audio version.
That's terrible.
I did find one of the authors on one of my textbooks has a series of 45 lectures divided up in like 15 different videos. They're like 6 hours long.
Damn.
But it's the whole course. It's the whole course, like from prehistory to 1715 to the Enlightenment.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and so like what I do is I put those YouTube links in there. I'm like, hey, boom, you listen to 0 minutes through an hour and 34 minutes. That is the first unit of material. It's divided into 3 lectures. If for any reason you miss class or you want to listen to this while you're commuting or you're studying for the exam, listen to that. It follows along with the book. Here's what I really observed, dude, is like people don't read.
No, they hate it.
Yes. I don't know why. Like, dude, I was like reading Musashi the other day.
Really?
And I was like, oh, why haven't I read this? Oh my God. Like it was blowing my mind. I was just like, but here's the thing. It's like, I don't read, man. I listen. Like, that's why I don't read. Like, and then I was like, I haven't read any since, you know, like, that's so just like I'm self-aware of that though, so I'm always seeking out the audiobook.
My wife, she uses Kindle, and she makes Siri read the book to her.
How's that? Is that good?
It doesn't really do sentence structure very well, so you kind of have to like as you're listening to it, you kind of have to actively pay attention to make sure you're comprehending what's going on because there's commas and stuff you don't notice because it reads it in the Siri monotone way. But as long as you're like semi-paying attention to it, it works great. We listened to an entire book driving to that Carolina Rebellion Festival I was talking about on the way there and back. It's like a 13, 14-hour drive or whatever. We listened to a whole book. Just some random book she found on there for free about like werewolves and vampires or whatever. And she was just like, let's just put this on. And we sat there in the car and listened to the whole thing, stayed awake the entire time.
YouTube has so many audiobooks, man. So like for that class, I threw I wanted them to do an assignment based around True Grit.
Nice.
So I found the audiobook and I was
awesome.
like, there's the audiobook. You got to listen to it. I had to do it when I took this class and we're doing it. And the intro class at Tech does it and you guys are doing it. You got a little 5-paragraph assignment. Here's what it needs to look like. Compare it to one of the movies or compare it to what the book talks about in that same time period. Just read that chapter and say, like, it was on here, it was off here, whatever. Like, or compare both the movies to the book. So.
I mean, why not? They're good movies.
Yeah. I mean, dude, they are. Which one do you like better, the John Wayne one?
I think I like the new one better.
I mean, honestly, the new one is really good.
It is. I've never been a John Wayne fan.
I mean, really, like, sorry I stereotyped you like that, bro.
No, you're cool.
Because
it's fine.
I just automatically, like, I feel like I'm in the minority. That's why I was saying, I was like, oh, you like the other one? Because
Yeah.
that's like 99% of people are like, well, really, the new one's shit, John Wayne.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Fuck John Wayne. I'm a Clint Eastwood guy. If I'm going to pick an old Western
man.
guy. Like,
Yeah.
as a person, as an older guy now, he's kind of a crotchety old asshole that makes the same movie over and over again. But you can't deny that the Spaghetti Westerns, the end, are some of the best movies ever made.
Dude, the Man with No Name.
Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is like one of the greatest movies ever made.
It really is. It really is. Have you seen the new? This isn't Western, but have you seen the new Tarantino film?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
I have guys at work have seen it, and they say it's great, but I haven't seen it yet.
Nice. I want to check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you saw the one Hateful Eight?
Yes,
that was good.
It was.
That was wild.
I didn't like it that much the first time I watched it because it was so long, and I was kind of pressed for time that day, so I was getting a little antsy for it to end, and it drug. But the second time I watched it, like we had it at work, and we were really dead that day, and so a bunch of people sat around and we watched it. That movie's incredible.
It is, man.
Tarantino
movies are like they age well.
They do.
One I need to go back and rewatch is Jackie Brown.
Yeah, I've only seen Jackie Brown once. It's definitely
I've seen it I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
I caught it once on TV and then I had the DVD. But I was
Yeah. Who's got 2.5 hours to watch a movie you've already seen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is it is nice in my office I'm constantly playing shit in the back. I got 2 screens or like I'll just listen to a podcast on my phone or whatever. But it's nice having an office at the university.
I bet. That's great that you do have one.
Yeah.
That's got to be
Dude, the guy I mentioned earlier, Michael Booty, he's a window, man. I don't have a window. I have window envy, man.
Absolutely.
Every time I go over and see him, I'm like, dude, you got a window, man.
That's a beautiful tree, man. I don't have a tree.
He's got like I-40 like right out his window, but I'm like, I don't care, dude. You got that sunlight. Just the lighting of the room is so much better.
Absolutely.
So, but
that's one of the things I like about getting off work at this time of day is I go home and take a shower after work, and there's sunlight in the bathroom enough.
Oh yeah,
I don't have to turn the light on. You can just take a day lit shower. It's nice.
What kind of shifts do you work?
I work 5 a.m. to 1:30, 2 o'clock.
That's nice. That's it's about the time I get up. I don't have to be at the university till 7:30. That's when my office hours start.
Okay.
So I'm there 7:30 until I got off at 1 today. So trickled back this way.
Nice.
A little bit earlier than that. But that's my last class over at 12:50. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I used to hate getting up that early, but then
dude, sleeping's painful, man.
Yeah. Once you get our age and you get used to getting up that time of the day, it's nice.
Yeah, I don't even know how I ever slept.
Yeah.
Like, dude, here's another thing, man. I am like out by like 10 o'clock.
Yep.
A lot of times.
My wife calls me an old man because I could fall asleep at 8 o'clock every night if she'd let me.
Yeah, I mean, I get home, I eat, and then it's like I'd actually started taking melatonin in the last several months. You ever do that?
I have had some of that. Yeah.
Dude, it puts you right out.
It does.
Man.
It's great. I never really had an issue with that though. Like I could fall asleep. Like she does she's more of a night person. And so she stays up till like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes, even though she's got to be at work the next day and stuff. So we'll go to the bedroom, and she's like, I want to organize some stuff back here if you want to go back there. I'm like, sure. So we go back there. I'll lay down in the bed. She'll have the light on in there, and she'll be moving a bunch of stuff around, organizing stuff. It doesn't matter. I'm asleep.
Dude, I've been catching some naps. Like, if I don't like this time of day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if I don't have a podcast scheduled, I'm catching a nap. And I didn't nap for like a year and a half. So it's been huge.
Naps are great.
Huge.
Yes.
Freaking Donald. I mean, imagine all the sayings and all of the memes that are still like how we're gonna remember him.
Yeah.
What's yet to come.
Yeah.
Man, like, what are your predictions on the election? Like, what do you think? Like, you think it's going to be Donald versus Bernie? Do you think that Bernie's going to win if that happens? Like, do you care? What's going on?
I don't think Bernie would win. I think the country itself is riled up enough at this point that the hateful people are going to show up, and the not so hateful people are going to pretend like they care, and then they're not going to show up. And so, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he won again.
It wouldn't surprise me either. It would also, just like when he won the first time, it would just blow my mind again.
Yeah, it would break my heart. It would just unbelievably piss me off. But like when he won the first time, a person in my life shared a thing. It was like, this is what happens when moral America shows up to vote. It's about time the good guy won. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I don't like Hillary Clinton either, all right? And I didn't vote for her because why the fuck would you? She's a lizard person. But
You're about to get suicided, bro. Okay, you better calm down.
I'm gonna get Epstein.
Oh, that's where we're going after this.
Yeah, but like, how do you fucking look at Donald Trump and think that is the moral choice? It don't matter what the other option is. Like, that's what I fucking hate about politics in general, is that it is an either-or scenario with ends up with being the least worst.
Why do we only have one president?
I've never even heard that idea before. Like, we should have more than one.
I mean, dude. Okay.
I want 7.
You ever heard? Okay, so when I get into covering a certain part of American history, including the Civil War, the last time that idea came up was like Compromise of 1850.
Yeah.
And basically, it was like, hey, we should have a president of the North, president of the South, so the South can keep doing what they want. That was one of the proposals that was brought forth, right? And that was really, as far as I know, the first time that idea was introduced of a 2-president system, and that's 1850. So you're on down the road a ways before things really blow up. But at this time, something's going on that you refer to as like sectionalism. So think about like that in nowadays terms. So like then it was North and South, but it was more than that too. I mean, obviously, like California was still way different.
Yes,
So
Texas has always been its own thing.
It's all, but also like just the settlement that's taken place since then to now. Like, you've got the Midwest, you've got the Northeast, you've got the South, and then Mid-South, a little different. Like you could hash it up a lot of different ways, but you could divide it into a lot of like maybe 5 main sections.
Yeah.
So like this concept that's in history referred to as sectionalism. And that is when like we started thinking about ourselves instead of or in addition to just like, oh yeah, like we're part of the United States. Arkansas and Oklahoma are both a state, and we're both members of the United States together. Like think about like colonial America. They didn't like, you'd be like somebody in like the Chesapeake. Like you didn't think about people from New England. No, they're not on our team. They're their own thing. They have their own thing. We're just like we're all like a part of the British Empire, but like we're really our own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like
the European Union. They're all their own countries.
Yeah.
But they're all one thing.
Yes. So it's fascinating to see how everything played out from that to 1850 to now, and then just to look and there is like, here's another thing. I'm having this guy Billy Reeder on tomorrow to do the podcast, and he was just on sabbatical. He's a journalism professor, and he was at the border for 6 months, like living on his sailboat, fucking cartels, all sorts of crazy shit. So he's coming on the podcast to talk about all that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm in pumped, dude. I've been wanting to podcast with him for a minute. So,
I bet.
Anyway, but why made me think about him is like, you ever driven from like Oklahoma to California?
Yeah. The wife and I drove from here to Oregon, and then we went like through Colorado that way, and then drove
people
back.
Want to act like we don't have any place to settle in this country. Have never taken that drive, apparently.
Absolutely.
Man, like we have, so like it is my thought that we're going to do something like try and start settling immigrants in unsettled areas of the United States for different reasons, probably to promote the sectionalism idea. Like that's just like my view of the future, like whether it happens in my lifetime or what. It's the speculation theory, but like what got us on that is like the office that we're talking about. I think we're so disappointed in because it's not. There's no way that's a one person job.
Yeah.
Like holy shit. Like if it was 13 colonies, and we had one person, like
Yeah, okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you want this one person to run 13 states. Like, our state governor doesn't even do that well of a job. You know what I'm saying? With our population. So it's like, but we expect one person to be the figurehead for everything.
Yeah.
That's in name only for me anymore. You know, it's like, we're past being that's, how are you going to handle that?
You're blowing my mind at the moment. I'd never even crossed my mind to think that we should do something different than that. And it fucking makes an unbelievable amount of sense.
I don't know. Maybe I hope I don't get called like a racist or a Zionist or something. I don't even know if these ideas are good. But that's just how I've just been thinking about it. And then just thinking about early American history. And then too, dude, like looking at like the Roman Republic and like the Athenian democracy and like, well, that shit failed horribly. Let's form a Democratic Republic. like holy shit. Like, let's take the two things that failed that we like the most and do it that way.
Absolutely.
Like Plato, he was like, they printed the Bible and Plato first. Let's just go with both. Like, man, I showed somebody this like little kid video of the allegory of the cave the other day. They'd never heard of it. And I was like, you don't know what I'm talking about. And so I was like, I don't want to explain it to you. Like, I need like a marker board or something. Like, so it's like I found this video. It's like breaks it down. It's like Veggie Tale style.
That's awesome.
And it just blew his mind. And I was like, all right, I got other things like that too. Okay, well, it's a little bit at a time, guys.
Yep, exactly. You need a little piece of it every once in a while.
Dude, I will say this. So, like, I ended up taking Dr. Bush for 27 hours. I will really want to have him on the podcast someday.
That'd be great. I run into him periodically at like Walmart. He's still like the nicest guy on earth.
He is, man. That guy was such a major influence on me.
Absolutely. I took every class of his that I possibly
Me
could.
too. Me too. I'm trying to think. The only class I think I didn't take him for was contemporary philosophy.
Yeah, I don't think I had that one either.
And I took him for special problems in ethics.
Yep.
And I took him for ethics. Logic was awesome.
So I didn't get him for logic. I got the other guy.
Mitchell.
Yes, Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
He is a super nice guy.
Like, I never wanted to take him for class, though.
Yes. He's prickly in class.
Yeah.
I upset him really bad one time, but I did not make the mistake of stopping. Like, we came to get a test back, and it was me and like 3 other people that were friends, and we were in his class. And we go there. We did a test class before, and we came to get our test grades back. And then we planned on leaving because we had like stuff to do that day. So we get there, and I know it's super disrespectful now. I'm an adult and can totally accept that I was an asshole for this. But
I've got some situations like that.
Yeah. And I just, we get back, and he's like, sorry, I won't be able to give you your test back today. And I immediately nudged the guy next to me, and I was like, we're out. And I stood up, and I turned around and walked off. And at this time, I had a massive fucking afro.
Dude, I remember those days.
Yes. And so I get up to walk out of class. I make a huge scene, not even meaning to. And he's like, where you guys going? Sir. And he's like following us down the alley or the aisle of the class, and I just, nope, I'm not stopping. I just hit the door and took off, and my buddy stopped and got like a 5-minute ass chewing in front of the entire class because he got up and disrupted class because he didn't want to, or he wasn't going to get his test back, so he left. And I still make fun of him for that. It's like, you shouldn't have stopped. Like, I told you we were leaving. Like, what is wrong with you? But I'm a douchebag for doing that. Like, I should not have done that. There's so many things.
Staged a walkout protest,
yeah.
man.
If I could go back in time, I would kick the shit out of myself so bad.
Man, everybody's got stuff like that. And like, what's funny is to think that like we're adults and we won't still do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because, man, I've made some mistakes as an adult, and you just look at it and you're just like, why the fuck did I do that? Like,
I have the same problem with things like flat earthers. I think they believe the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What giant fucking stupid thing do I believe that I don't know is like the dumbest thing on earth?
Yeah. Like having empathy about stuff like that. I do. It's funny. Here's this I do. When I teach scientific revolution, I always get one of the students at this.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, so we're going to start talking about, when we really started to view the world as, being a globe and round instead of flat. And, as scientific revolution, we've been talking about it. And so I'm like, imagine all these flat earthers back then. And like somebody always makes a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so what's your number one proof for heliocentrism? And then they're like, what's that?
Yeah, what?
And I'm like, exactly.
Shut up.
And then it's like, we're also talking about deductive reasoning and stuff like that too. But it's just when I teach Civ 2, I get to go. I get to do that to him. I teach. I taught in the summer, and I usually teach in the regular semester, but I'm not this year. But it's a fun little topic to go over: scientific revolution, Bacon, and Newton, and
Yeah.
wild time, natural philosophy. So like Descartes,
Yeah.
like so many people we learned about in philosophy, boom, right there in that time. So very interesting.
Indeed. I miss taking classes and just learning things for the purpose of just
A simpler
learning them.
time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Man, that's what I love about teaching is because you like you get to do that. You're engaged in that way. Like when I first started working at Morrilton, I felt like I was learning, which I was, and I am.
Yeah.
But I kept saying to Cora, I was like, I feel like I'm getting smarter. Right? Smarter.
Do I come across you as smarter?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I feel way smarter. I'm thinking these thoughts all the time, and more thoughts, and it's just thoughts I never thought before.
Exactly.
And
I'm contemplating the motherfucking ifs.
yeah, but it was my engagement. Like, because man, after I got my master's, I was just doing the gym, getting it to the point it's at right now, and like not really doing anything with my degree other than just like walking around with like the person that I came out being,
Yeah.
And then like once I started teaching, like dude, anytime you teach something, you take a whole other angle on it. Like I feel the same way with martial arts. It's just like the way I look at it versus the way somebody's like a student or a competitor. I think it's different. It's just like
I'm sure.
I'm like, so I'm thinking about like from the student point of view of like I got to teach all of these people, like the white belt and the highest ranked person in the class, right? And then it's what do you teach to satisfy everybody? And
Yeah.
it's a pretty complex way to like view the art.
Yeah.
Other than just like, oh yeah, I'm here for class. Oh, we're doing guard today.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do an arm bar. And I'm like, bro, arm bars. From what position? Like, I know so many. Like it becomes that. And it's so you just gotta accept it for like it's infinite like everything else, man. It's like the combinations of the patterns and the things that like just I know for jiu-jitsu are infinite.
I'm sure they are.
Like it's wild.
Did they step this way this time? And if so, what do you do instead?
Was it? Yeah. And what gets you going on is like when I took logic, I just kept going to Bush, and I'm like, this is like what I do. Like I was like, we can apply this to boxing here, and he was just like, yeah, you can. Because like boxing combinations, like rules of inference for jiu-jitsu, like it just like it changed the way I think and pattern martial arts when I took logic. Because like I'm just like, oh, everything is a list now. I must delineate this topic here, truth tables. Like I just like all the concepts from like everything other than the fallacies, I applied to martial arts, and it changed the way I like processed it, organized it in my head, organized it digitally.
That's amazing.
It's wild, yeah.
I'm looking forward to coming and learning.
Dude, yeah. Well, man, whenever you're ready. Because I think I might have told you this, but we could do an intro lesson for you. Mm-hmm. So, like, a lot of people are just like, what is jiu-jitsu, dude?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to expect. I remember trying to describe it to people when I started doing it, and I was just like, because in my mind, at that time we didn't have a gi program. We weren't even doing. I just did no gi and MMA. So I didn't even know it is jiu-jitsu at that time. I was just like, oh, we like, it's like kind of like wrestling, but not. Okay, because we don't. It's not because we do these things called submissions, like chokes and arm bars.
Yeah.
Right. And we also punch each other on the ground. Right. It's MMA.
Exactly.
And people are like, "What's MMA though?" And I'm like, "Well, this class I go to, it's called no gi." And they're like, "What's a gi?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But it's just it was funny, man. It was a funny time back then because I didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I was loving it, and I just was like, oh, I don't ever want to stop.
I remember running into you at like Walmart when you were first like getting into it. And
yeah, that's where I was working.
Yeah.
We were working at the same time, I bet.
Yeah.
With the afro.
Yep. And you were like a completely different person then than you are now. Like just even like the look on your face now is like just different. Like I look at you and I'm
changed
like,
my life, dude.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
It's incredible. I want to learn. I really do. It looks like it'd be fun.
What's wild? Let me tell you about this dude I've been hanging out with. I'll show you a video of him. So what's wild is like this guy started coming into the gym, and he's just like little Asian guy. So like, what kind of sucks about like being like me or whatever is like I learn stuff from people all the time. Like especially like I have 6 brown belts that in jiu-jitsu that train that are at the gym. Core's one of them, and it's like they show me stuff all the time, right? But that nobody is there teaching me a class that I go to on the regular basis. But this guy started coming in, and he is a literal martial arts master. That's my Wing Chun dummy, by the way. Okay. But he just came in off the street. He's like a 6-degree black belt in judo, and he's a high rank in Aikido. He knows this art Wing Chun, Kung Fu. So, but he's from the Philippines. He's a doctor. So he's like super smart.
Yeah.
72 years old. Showed up and was like, "Oh, I'm here to teach you everything I know." Like totally nice about it. You see, he's wearing a white belt right there because he comes to and does my jiu-jitsu class and wears a white belt. That guy is in the same class you would come to.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That would be intimidating as fuck.
But
to teach that guy something.
I know. I feel not worthy, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy.
But I don't know. I feel like you are, though.
I am. But like when I'm like, because like we stay there till like almost 9 o'clock every night. Working classes over like 7:45, and we're just like swinging swords and doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
And he's taught me so much. But I would just be like standing there learning all this stuff, and I'm like wearing my red gi with my black belt, and I'm like, and he's just like white traditional martial arts uniform with a white belt, and I'm just like. And he's just like, "Oh, this is the same as your jiu-jitsu throw when you did this. Remember this one class? Your favorites here. Like, remember that class you taught about? Like, this dude's been Mr. Miyagiing me since day one. Like, I know, like he walked in, the day he's gonna do class. And I noticed him doing some forms on the Wing Chun dummy. It's like I walk up and I'm like, "What do you know about that?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't. I was like, I know. I knew. So like, I know some of the movements. And the movements you can do with a partner. But, like, I never was able to, like, translate any of the movements onto the dummy. Of, like, I never learned any of the katas. Because, like I was saying to you earlier, dude, I'm a listen guy. Like, I do need to go to that class to get the maximum. So, like, my approach is, like, travel all over, do privates, bring people in for seminars.
I see that sometimes.
Tons of, we always bring people in.
That's awesome.
But it's like the continuing education. So like and I'm always engaged in that. But man, this guy's just been like making me a student. But he just like showed up and just like, I don't have like anybody to really tell all this stuff to. I'm just, working at the hospital and you seem interested. So I'm going to tell you whatever you want to know.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, all right, man, thanks.
I'll learn everything you've got.
And it is. It's but like he would show me things on day one, and then he would like much later he'd be like, "You remember this?" And I'd be like, yeah. And he's like, that's right here. Like he just showed that form he's doing on the demo. He's like, it's 13 sections. It's 13 different sections.
Really?
Let's see what chorus says. Just a reminder, okay?
All right.
And planning. All right, closing up. Okay, yep. All right, we're good.
I don't know Cora other than like the couple of times I've met her, but she's impressive as fuck too.
She's
my wife is like blown away by her. Like
strict
every time,
disciplinarian, sir.
yes,
okay?
like every time like we'll see her in like Walmart, and I'm like, that's Brian's wife, and my wife looks at her and she's just like, she's such a badass, and I'm like, she is. Like she would probably like if we pissed her off, she kicked shit out of both of us.
She's more locally. Everybody is like knows her. It kind of stresses her out a little bit, but like everywhere we go, it's like somebody is knows us, you know. And it's like we kind of made it that way on purpose, but
yeah, that's how you get business and stuff too.
It is, man. If you're in any kind of business, like period, like where you engage with the public, it's just the sort of the byproduct.
Yeah,
but people are always not seeing her out and wanting her, like talking to her, but always wanting her to come do stuff. Like, will you come talk at this? Will you come give a demo here? Like, we want you to be a part of this. What do you think about this issue? Like, do you guys support the casino? Like, it just, oh man, it's one thing after another.
I bet so. That would get old.
Yeah. Well, too, it is. It's in every possible nook and cranny of society that you can imagine. Literally, like politics. Like people, like when all of this stuff was going on with us, like trying to build on our own property that we own.
Now you said you're moving. I'm curious. It didn't go well, I guess.
Well, you know, it depends on if you look at right now versus the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cora and I being here forever with our children.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, we're the city of Russellville. I mean,
absolutely.
Even though you don't get to vote, you're the city of Russellville too, right? And, you know, maybe we can do something about that someday. I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
But you remember Dr. Bush saying this, like, and I have no desire still to this point to get involved in any way. I will do things at some point to be of service to more than what I'm doing and running a nonprofit and having a gym that teaches a lot like life skills and values and things to kids that they need that they don't get at home.
Absolutely.
But it's you ever remember Bush being like talk about the philosophers, kings and queens? Mm-mm. Well, like, okay, so Aristotle trained Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it was a move in Greek society for tyrants to have their sons trained by philosophers. And philosophers wanted to train the tyrant's sons to end the cycle of tyranny.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like the basic idea that, like, you and I think the way we think probably because we got some sort of a liberal fine arts education.
Yep.
You know, like it or not, that, I mean, it comes down to that in a lot of ways for me. Like, I'm like, oh, man. And then not saying the people that don't have, but I just, like, look at people from, like, my parents' generation, and I'm like, racist, xenophobic.
Yep.
Things that I would not even be self-aware of if I wasn't, if I didn't receive that education. Did you see that thing I shared on Facebook? It was like, back in my day, we didn't get so offended. Yes. Willy Wonka's like, back in my day, we didn't get pissed about black people drinking from the fountain.
Exactly.
Or pour acid in the pool, man, or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
I just, man, I have major guilt about, like, I think all that's catching up. I think that's what we're experiencing. Like, it's like sometimes I think about that when I'm lecturing over the facts and the realities of the Vietnam War and the Cold War. It's like, oh yes, this is the cost of our system and the distrust. It's like one time somebody was talking shit about somebody saying something was a false flag, and I'm like, well, there've only been 7 verifiable false flags since World War II.
Yeah.
Like, you want me to trust the government?
Yeah.
Like, I want to.
I want to too.
But I know too many facts about things like this to say immediately anyone who would think this is paranoid. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like I don't immediately start saying like every shooting, every this is a false flag. I can't even remember what this is in a reference to, but it was something somebody was calling a false flag in the last couple of years. It might have actually been the Vegas shooting.
Might have been.
Which is still super freaking weird.
It
man.
is.
Or the Epstein suicide.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
You think he's still alive? Is the question?
Probably.
It could be.
It could be.
Was he in intelligence? Was he being blackmailed by an intelligence agency? Like those are the two most logical theories. I'm like, or like it's like. Where can we have some video of him being put in, coming out? Can we have his body on display? Like, what's the proof that guy's dead?
There isn't any.
What's the proof that he was ever in jail?
Yeah.
What's the proof that the CIA didn't just put him in witness protection?
Yeah.
Because he turned on whoever. Also, and I verified a very minor amount of this, apparently Donald Trump is who got him in trouble initially back in 2005.
Really?
Yes. It was 2005 where they had some sort of real estate dealings where Epstein was trying to buy something near Trump. I heard somebody else talking about it, just listening to different podcasts and things on Epstein. I looked into it and I was like, okay, that's verifiable. And then what they were going into is saying that Epstein had been recruiting at some resort that Trump ran. Recruiting like underage girls, and Trump found out about it, and then was like, Trump. Epstein was trying to buy something next to Trump or something, and Trump ended up buying it so Epstein wouldn't, and they had words or something, and Trump was like, "I know what you've been doing in my resort, motherfucker." Boom. This is that was the backstory that I didn't verify. That they had these arguments over the real estate. Like the real estate thing, I did see that, some evidence for that. Mm-hmm. But I need to look more into that story because I just got onto that yesterday morning.
That can be fact number 2 of things I like about Donald Trump.
Yeah. If he had, I will say this, there is some sort of active campaign under his administration against things like pedophilia, in at least in our country. Mm-hmm. He might not be doing anything about what's going on at the border. Here's something that somebody was saying. Dan Crenshaw, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He was on Joe Rogan about how they will recycle kids at the border. Basically. They started the reason some of the laws to do with the asylum are the way they are is because what they were doing is they would use a kid to get across, then they would send the kid back across because it's not hard to go back across at all.
Yeah,
and then the kid would come back in with a different group. This is sort of shit we're going to talk about on the podcast tomorrow.
Yeah,
so you might check that out.
I definitely will.
And I don't know how much this guy's going to say. He's writing a book about it. He's got a blog about it where he writes all sorts of stuff that he just saw while he was going down to the border and looking at people seeking asylum and stuff like that.
So you just took time off to go down there and see what was going on?
Dude, that's what's cool. If you're a PhD and you're tenure track or tenured professor, is you get sabbatical every so often, and you that's what he's supposed to go do.
That's great.
That's part of the job type of thing. That won't be a part of my job, unfortunately. They're like, you just teach the intro courses.
Yeah.
And, don't learn new stuff. But no, it's their conferences and stuff to go to, and you're encouraged to do that. But, there's no, at the community college level, you don't get a lot of time to go study or whatever. So
well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Do they get paid when they're on sabbatical?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. As far as I know, I'm going to ask him all these questions tomorrow, too. But, everybody I know has gone on sabbatical. They have families. I know that, half a dozen professors that have taken it before. And it's something that you line out over a period of time. And it might have to, a lot of times I know that certain professors will get grants, to sort of fund a project they might be doing on their sabbatical. And I think that has to do with the university, too. You got to get them to fund, hey, on my sabbatical, I'm going down to the border, and here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a part of a larger project I'm working on when I get back. So on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to ask him tons of questions about sabbatical, how it all works and what he did while he was on it. And this guy, he's into sailing. and he owns a boat that he keeps in Texas, and he's just a really cool dude. And he lives in a cabin in like Perryville.
That's awesome.
So he's starting jiu-jitsu. So we're talking about this thing. He's doing an intro lesson with me tomorrow.
Nice.
So he did a class, and it's just like basically like orientation. You do an intro lesson before you do class. That way, when you come to class, you're like, yeah, I know how to put this thing on, like this uniform, or you get that stuff lined out ahead of time. So like I do like Dylan Sparks, right?
Yeah, I know Dylan.
Did lessons with Dylan before he started coming. He comes to noon class mostly.
Does he?
Yeah. Colby, dude, he was super anxious about coming to class. I had, it's like my best friend, so I did privates with him for a minute before. Now he's like, I'll be out of town occasionally, and he'll go to class. I won't even be in town. I'm like, yeah, you junkie, just get in there. So it does become addicting, man.
That's
you,
great.
You
though.
start doing it for your own reasons, and it's like because your own reasons are like, man, I'm trying to get healthier. Or, man, like I want to be feeling safe at the festival. I'm just like always like feeling confident, about like no, I'm not ever seeking violence or anything like that, but I'm always just feeling like I could address most situations. I'm like, if there's not a gun involved, and hopefully there's not a knife. But I've trained knife defenses for several years, and I train them all the time, just on because that's a part of our culture, dude. Most people carry a knife.
Yeah.
Most people, I know a bunch of people that carry multiple knives, just themselves, and I'm just like, okay.
My boss at work has got at least 3 on him at all times.
One of my martial arts coaches, he's got, I don't know how many he's got. I don't know how many weapons are in his truck, on his person, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like one time he was teaching a seminar on just knife work. Like that was like a 3-hour portion we were doing. It was like, and he just like walks out and just starts like pulling knives out of everywhere. And it's like he's wearing like jeans and a hoodie. He's like, this one's around my neck. I can take this on this one is not metal. It's composite plastic, like it won't get set off by any detectors. Boom, this one here, I keep, it opens when I pull it out of my pocket. This one's for stabbing. This one's for cutting. Like, this one I keep in my boots. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah. So now you know why you train for knife defense.
Yeah, I mean, dude, just going through stuff like that, and it's like it's a no-nonsense thing. I feel like so many people who study knife defense or train knife work, it's like outside of that, I'm training throwing, I'm training handling, I'm training opening and closing, drawing, and then it's like defense all the time. Like, I don't have one, I'm taking yours away. I don't have one, I'm taking yours away. And then having all these different knives, like, all right, we're going to start with the rubber one. Now we're trying with the wooden one. Now we do the metal one. And we got shock knives.
What's a shock knife?
This shocks the shit out of you.
That's great.
Yeah. So like the last camp, one of the camps, same camp, not the same year, but that I went to, they had some shock knives and they would bite you. I didn't get shocked though. But basically, like, you would just run at me with the shock knife and try and stat. Like, we'd like limit the line of attack. Like, hey, you're going to attack him here. Or, hey, you're going to attack him here.
Okay.
Right? So it's just because, like, we'd worked on those lines of attack or whatever. And that's kind of what you approach is, like, most times people are going to come like that. Like, prison shankings, like an upward stab.
Yeah.
Right? Then you got the Michael Myers grip. Dude, Charlie Bush, Green Beret knife fighting instructor, bro.
No way.
No shit. No shit.
That's great.
Okay, so here's the only way I know it. I heard he was a Green Beret, and then I asked somebody, and they told me, like Jeff Woods or somebody. And one time in class, he was like had a marker, and he was just like, people hold the knife like this, but that's not actually how you're supposed to hold it. You're supposed to hold it like this. I know this because I was a knife fighting instructor for the Green Berets. And I was just like,
yeah. He's like the most laid back, like goofy dude in the world.
Yeah.
And would just take somebody apart if he needed to.
Man, I really do like that guy. I got so much appreciation for him. Did you ever have Krieger?
Oh, I loved Krieger. That was my favorite teacher at Tech. Made my love for Charlie Bush rest in peace here. But I took the man was the best teacher. I took him. The first class I had him for was the French Revolution and Napoleon.
Too.
Oh my God! Did that? Like Napoleon is now my favorite historical figure of all time.
Dude, the Rosetta Stone.
Yes,
man, I took him for ancient Egypt too.
Oh, I didn't get that
it
one.
was so good, dude. I took him for Civ. I did a special problems with him where I talked about the Israelites in Egypt.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I love the way he just talked like he was there. Like he shared the story of the.
I
the
do that
time.
when I go over like Epic of Gilgamesh, and then I was doing something else, and I was getting like super narrative form, not on my notes, and they're just like, how do you know all this?
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, just telling the story. They're like, this is everything. Is this all of this in here? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Like, and then it's like back to Gilgamesh.
That's right.
But Krieger was, man, he was something else.
He was. And he shook like all the time, but then he would grab a freaking piece of chalk and have the most beautiful handwriting in the universe.
His cursive was on point.
It was. It blew me away. Like he didn't bring anything to class other than like a book if he needed to show you a portrait of King Louis.
Do you know what? I have a lot of those books.
Do you?
In my office at the maybe one of these days if you come back on the podcast because I could podcast at my office.
That'd be cool.
But I probably have 50 Krieger books, man. They let me clean out his office when he retired.
Really?
And they told me like whatever's in there that you want, you can have. I took all his old tests, took all of his old homework assignments. They're all in a drawer in my office.
That's awesome.
So he passed away last year.
No, I didn't know that.
Dude, it was rough.
That sucks.
He's like, man, he passed away like 10 days after his wife passed away. He was not unhealthy or whatever, but that's like what you're saying, like your friend, like with his experience of like giving up, like that's real.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Like I think that very much so. Maybe we have to consciously choose to die at some point in time.
Yeah, at least under some circumstances, yeah.
Like, I mean, think about people that are fighting, whatever disease they have, or fighting this, or fighting that. At a certain point, you lose the fight. You give, or maybe you don't decide to give up, and maybe it's not a conscious decision, but maybe it is something that we don't even understand that's on a spectrum of what I'm kind of talking about and what your buddy was talking about.
Yeah.
So, but that's... Man, I've been getting super into this, like, consciousness. Like, what does it all mean, Basil?
Exactly. What does it all mean, man? I don't know.
I had a philosophy professor on here, the guy from Morrilton. He's retired now, but he teaches adjuncts for him. Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about it, but he's just like, I mean, it's just, nobody has it figured out.
Yeah.
People got some great ideas, though. But that's like I've shared something a while back on. It's like a Gary Vaynerchuk thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I've heard that name, I think.
He's just like, you adults that are telling people, like telling like teenagers and young adults that like they need to do this because, that's, they need to figure things out. That's what's going to figure it out for them. If they go here and get this piece of paper and do this and get these bills, that's figuring it out. And he's like, ain't nobody has anything figured out. I've never met anybody that has it figured out. And I'm like a billionaire. Like, they're fucking lying to you. They don't have their shit figured out. They're like 55. They still don't know what's going on, just like me. And it's just like, yeah, man, people like think about, like, I think parents just do that. I think it's a parenting thing, but it's like,
it's a self-validation thing too.
Yeah, like if you, he's like saying like it makes the parents feel better if the kids have their shit together so they can tell their friends about it or whatever, or just feel pride. But it's like there is no figuring it out. That's why people have existential crisis. That's why people kill themselves. It's why people get depressed. It's why people have self-loathing, But I've met liars and people who don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I just wing it. I just try to have a good time.
Yes. Like, this is a new concept that I was exposed to recently, and I sprang it on one of my students today. So I started a class. I'm like, hey, how you guys doing? And, like, somebody's, like, sometimes negative. Sometimes no one's negative. Sometimes a lot of people reply. Somebody never replies. And it's like, I'm just ready for this week to be over. And I was like, dude, time's all we have, man. And one day it's going to be over. And you'll never be able to get it back. And you're wishing it away right now.
Yep.
And everybody was like, I was like, all right, we're going to start the revolution today. It's like, and they're just like, what is this dude doing? But it is. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you think about things in terms of getting through things, I'm just going to get through till Christmas. I'm just going to get through this year, this day, this month, this week.
Yep. This is all you
It's
have.
defeatist. Yeah. But that just like I was exposed to that idea, and I was like, oh man, that was a mind blower, right? I was like, okay, now we can be self aware of that and act accordingly. If whenever possible. So
yeah, I completely agree. Try to make every situation something you're in. You know, be in it.
yeah. But being present, being in the moment. But and man, what's crazy is how difficult that shit is. Like it's like people pay lip service to it all the time, but it's like it's nowadays, or maybe it's just hard to unplug or whatever. You know, like you go somewhere, you see somebody, you know, you have to go places pretty much, because of how we set things up. Like in the places I go, I don't know how to get there. I'm gonna use my fucking phone.
Yep.
Like, do you know how to get to Asheville, North Carolina?
No.
Me either, man.
I have a map in my car, but can I read it?
I don't know how to read it, man. like, dude, that stresses me out. Like, remember when we had like the printing off the MapQuest? That was stressful. But imagine if this just collapsed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
What do you do?
Like, I can't grow a garden.
No.
I don't know how to grow a garden.
We're growing one right now at home, but it's tiny. Like we've gotten like 4 tomatoes out of it, and like
I think I saw your plants.
like 5 cucumbers. You know.
Yeah. That's that. It's just like I think about it, so it's kind of stressful because it's like that's not like when we're talking about the biggest leaps forward ever made. We're like, yeah, we figure out how to grow plants, man. Like, once we figure out how to grow plants, that was a big leap.
Yeah.
And I'm now like I don't know anybody that knows how to grow plants, man.
Yeah. I actually bought a book because I'm half afraid that the singularity where they say that computers will surpass human intelligence, and then what do you do beyond that? And do humans integrate with technology and become some cyborg thing that what does the world turn into then? Do the computers kill everybody? Like that's going to happen. Like within by 2050, computers are going to be as smart or smarter than we are.
Think about this. Like Joe Rogan is who I got this idea from. They were out talking about it on a podcast, but like I've heard that theory. But I never thought about what it looked like.
Yeah.
Right? So like imagine this. Like for all time, like okay, so like look at a beehive. It gets built the same way every time, right? Essentially, like like they're gonna do their thing the same, but like humans are not that way.
Yeah. And
like, what if this is the way that the gods or God or whatever is going to do whatever, aliens, whatever, connect, is they sent the information to build the infrastructure for the way to communicate, and the way to communicate is what you just described. Yeah. Right? So it's like what if we are the bees building the hive for whatever is the higher intelligence?
Yeah.
Like I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, what does it look like?
Like, why are we making this stuff? Where did it, it's fascinating. Like technology in general, and the fact that like all the, like I said, as somebody was like, if I could just teleport, and I was like, yeah, there's like that, and only one more thing from the original Star Trek series that we haven't actually invented.
Yeah.
That we know about. And if we did invent teleportation, I guarantee you we're probably never going to know about that one. And if we do, it'll be in 30 years.
Yep.
I
think teleportation will just be 3D printing. Like you'll have to get past the Christian idea that your body is this most sacred thing in the universe, and that you have to be attached to this one thing forever, and that's it. And then you fucking step on a teleporter.
Downloading consciousness.
It fucking liquidates you, and it 3D prints a version of you in Paris, France, and it is the exact same thing. That's
that's wild.
That's teleportation.
Dude, I have a book on teleportation. I don't know what any of it means. Yeah,
I have a book called it's by Dr. Ray. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm going to butcher this. But Dr. Ray Kurzweil, he's a computer scientist, and he's been given like 4 different awards from like 4 different presidents for his work in computers and stuff. This is like one of the smartest motherfuckers alive, and his book is The Age of Spiritual Machines: When Computers Exceed Human Intelligence, and like his future that he envisions is great, and I guarantee it won't happen that way because he's like, we're going to integrate with.
There is no utopia, man.
No, it's not going to happen.
It don't matter if it's computers or the ancient world.
Mm-hmm.
The utopian idea, but we have seen some dystopian type places.
Absolutely,
some hell on earth type places. So that's
several places in Africa, like right now.
Africa is having almost as many fires as the Amazon. Apparently, that
Really?
could have been. Obviously, they definitely are having a lot of fires. So,
well, climate change.
Yeah. There's stuff going on all over. Natural disasters.
Yep. Like, not to sound un-American in any way, because I don't mean it in this way, but I've legitimately considered moving to Canada because, the world gets so hot, the water rises. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in, I don't know, what would it be, Iowa? That's going to be like 140 degrees in the summertime, or do you want to be in Canada where it's going to be like a livable temperature 30 years from now?
Yeah.
So like maybe you get a head start because that's where everybody's going to go anyway.
I thought you were going to say medicine.
Medicine too.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Man, everybody's tried to debunk like their system, and like every time I like try and debunk it for myself, I'm like, no, they're fucking doing it way better than us. I'd pay for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a better setup. Like, dude, when I, so I lucked out in that I work for this larger institution that has this great deal with this insurance company, and they have so many employees, a U of A system.
Yeah.
So it's like, but like before I started working there, like we just had Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yep.
Right? Myself and Cora, so like we got married, I turned 30 and she turned 25 all around the same time. Okay, so when all that happened, our insurance went up from like 100, like I was paying like $100 a month, right? It went up to over 500 around that time, right? And now, and that was just health. Now I have like health, dental, everything, and retirement for like $150, and I was paying for less than I was paying for health.
That's amazing
because of just like working. But that's just benefits of our labor system and like advances there and continued advances there. And I'm pro for continuing advances there as well. And like people are like, well, what are you gonna do if they make college free? And I'm like, make it free or make it cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
Because like it's like. I know a ton of people that will never go because they don't want to be in debt, or people that can't do anything normal because they can't pay it back. Like, fortunately, I'm able to pay it back without any stresses and worries. But like, it only sounds cool when I tell you how much money I made last year, and then when I'm like, yes, but the government took 38% of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, quite literally. Like, by the time we took like my payroll taxes and everything off the top, it's like, okay, so it's really only that much. And out of that much, there's a whole lot of other things came, So
Absolutely.
It's just like the pie just is sliced over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
I'm just like, I was teaching about the American Revolution today. I'm like, I don't know how I've had to pay my payroll taxes this month, and we had a revolution over this shit, but let's talk about it. Like,
yeah.
Like these people at one point, like the colonists were like, we hate you so much, we're going to pay more for smuggled tea. When they threw the tea in the harbor, it was cheaper than any tea they could buy anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was just as good a tea. And they're like, we'll pay more. Like, that's some principles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's...
We don't have that now. People still buy shit from Walmart.
So here's a funny thing. So the story of Paul Revere?
riding around telling everybody about the British coming?
Never happened.
See, that pisses me off.
Me too.
Why tell that story?
Well, he did warn people, but everybody was British. So that saying that
Yeah, the
it
British are
wasn't
coming.
what he shouted,
Yeah,
essentially, is that
okay.
everybody thinks. And I was hearing something else about this and reading about it is somebody wrote a poem about Paul Revere, and that's why he's famous.
Yeah.
Like, oh, also, here's another thing. The Boston Massacre concept, he came up with that.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So, what, it's several particular junctures, the colonists were able to circulate propaganda, like Lexington and Concord. They got their story out first. So, that's the one everybody remembers. But like John Adams defended the soldiers that fired in the Boston Massacre and got them off because like they deduced and John Adams is one of the most radical people to want to break away.
John Adams was a cool guy.
Yeah, you ever watch that HBO series? That they go over that courtroom. That's
Okay.
that the whole first. But yeah, they circulated. Paul Revere circulated this engraving of British officers shooting peaceful protesters and stuff. That's what people. That's the narrative.
Yeah.
You know. So I just include that in the story now when I tell it. I'm like, yeah, those people were depicted as martyrs, but they were throwing rocks, snowballs, and they instigated most of what happened. And we think that somebody from their camp, and it was just proven in court or whatever, said fire. And that's what got the British officers to fire. So, yeah. Samuel Adams, John Adams' cousin, was the leader of most of the shit going on with like groups like that, the Sons of Liberty and ruffians and stuff, like always harassing, tarring, feathering people. Like holy shit,
Like, why would you fucking tar and feather somebody?
that's cruel, dude.
That's terrible.
That's atrocious.
That is.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's go ahead and wrap this up, man.
All right.
That's good with you. It was 2 hours, by the way.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I didn't even expect that.
Dude,
I was just having fun.
Yeah, dude, it's just perfectly just normal. Like, see, people just don't do this anymore.
Yeah. This is super fun.
It's just like two bros hanging out at a table.
Yeah. Talking about Tool and John Adams.
Yeah. We just went full circle.
We did.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, man. You come on anytime. I'm always looking for guests
Cool.
and always enjoy sitting down and talking to people. Coming up, I think I got like 70-something episodes out. So, and I was thinking the other day, it's like just sitting back and talking to 70 different people. Like, who does that? It's got to be beneficial in some way.
Absolutely.
I think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So, but dude, you're welcome to come on anytime.
Cool.
So,
Like when you have a guest on, that'd be
dude,
cool. Just come and hang
hey,
out.
you and Thurman should come on at the same time.
That'd be cool.
Because I just like saw Thurman post something about his thesis, and I was like, dude, that'd be a great topic. Because the number one thing people ask me is like, dude, what are we gonna talk about? And I'm like, dude, I just started telling people this. I'm like, if we plan it, we might screw it up.
Yeah.
Right? Some people like, come on, we're gonna talk about my book. I wrote a book, like, or I have this published article, or whatever. I run an organization. We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, people come in with stuff like that. Otherwise, it's the Life Unraveled podcast. Let's talk about life and shit.
Yeah.
So,
I love the idea. This has been super fun.
all right, dude. Well, thanks for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Signing off.